Hello, Blue Jays fans. It is time to ring the bell. We made it, baby. It is the World Series. But first, of course, we have to talk about that game seven. Oh my goodness, there is so much to talk about. Yeah, we came back in the seventh inning of game seven. It seems like seven is our lucky number here. We really made it in our home territory. Shout out to George Springer, man. I mean, there's so much to recap here after an egregious time against the mighty, mighty Mariners, but not so mighty anymore. So let's give a quick recap here, Brandon. What are your thoughts on this game? I mean, you and I were both watching this game. We were on the edge of our seats, but let's just go over this game.
Yeah. Well, we did a preview obviously following game six, and my advice to the Blue Jays was don't get beaten by the big three of Julio Rodriguez, Kyle Raleigh, and Josh Naylor. And they did get beaten by Rodriguez and Raleigh had home runs. Obviously, Josh Naylor had an RBI early on. And Blue Jays were down 3-1, could not get anything going against George Kirby, who again, really great starting pitcher. And then, that seventh inning, just base hit from Kiner Falefa, a nice little bunt put down to set up George Springer. And, obviously the Mariners try to get cute. Probably should have brought Munoz in, who's been great all postseason. They, try to get cute with Bizardo and big game George. I mean, this is exactly what the Blue Jays signed him for all those years ago. Obviously, it's been a rocky tenure for him in Toronto up to this season. But he had so many great postseason moments with the Astros, and he got his Blue Jays moment in Game Seven here. I mean, this is the biggest hit in Blue Jays history since that Joe Carter home run. Obviously, it's the first time the Blue Jays have made the World Series since 1993. The first time they obviously had a few times in the championship series a decade ago. They couldn't get past the Royals or the Guardians. Here they are. They finally got past the Mariners, who great series. All the credit in the world to the Mariners, who I obviously I'm happy the Blue Jays won. I'm a little heartbroken for their fans who were so close to their first World Series appearance, but yeah, I mean, this is why you try to sign superstar players because they show up in the big moments, and George Springer showed up absolutely when it mattered most.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also want to give a shout out to the bullpen at the end of the day because they really also showed up too. I mean, Shane Bieber did an incredible job. And also Kevin Gausman. I always like giving a shout out to Kevin Gausman, especially, I mean, if people don't know, I'm an Orioles fan at heart as well. And although they had no chance of making it to the World Series, during the seventh inning, and a little bit further beyond, although he didn't really produce in many innings, the entire bullpen really held it down. I think Mariners fans wish they could say the same, and I think a lot of Mariners fans were really, impressed with George Kirby, obviously, and Brian Wu. But again, when Eduardo Bizardo kind of came onto the mound, everything fell apart. I mean, um, excuse me, watching George Springer hit that home run. I mean, what was kind of incredible too was seeing Wu. Wu was really pitching a lot of walks, and I think it was
Mhm.
time to kind of put in a closer. And so many people, both on the Mariners and the Blue Jays side, are kind of asking the question, well, why didn't you put in a closer at this point? And I think that's where the faults kind of came in. But hey, it secured the Blue Jays a winning a winning game at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you brought it up. I mean, but again, we said it was going to be all hands on deck. We saw a lot of starting pitchers came out of the bullpen. Gosman, Chris Bassett, Brian Wu. Again, it was just teams. The two teams just war of attrition trying to get through the game. A big credit to Jeff Hoffman, by the way. That ninth inning could have been really scary with Julio Rodriguez coming up to bat third, and then obviously Raleigh and Naylor to follow him. But he struck out all three guys, completely shut the door down on the Mariners. And yeah, I mean, obviously, look, I do think the Mariners were the second best team in the American League this year. Obviously, they won the second seed in the regular season. I thought that their starting pitching was the best in the junior circuit. They're a really great team. It's a really important win for the Blue Jays. But the Dodgers are another level, right? I mean, the Dodgers are the reigning champions. I mean, we just saw Shohei Ohtani have maybe the single greatest performance in baseball history in the NLCS against the Brewers. So, there's time to celebrate right now. Blue Jays' first time in the World Series in 30 plus years. But obviously, there's still four more wins to go to really celebrate. And it's going to be a tough opponent. But overall, I mean, the fact that they came back down from 2-0 down, especially after losing those first two games at home, I mean, that's an unbelievable achievement for this team. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was unbelievable all series. I mean, George Springer obviously was, had the big hit. So just a huge credit to the Blue Jays, and it's very exciting that this core was able to get, this far already.
Yeah, the question at this point, which we will kind of answer in the next video that we post after this one, is what comes next to the World Series with the Dodgers? There are so many questions to be answered, which again, we will answer in another video. But for now, let's celebrate the win. I think something else to think about is look, we have until Friday to kind of rest, relax, and kind of re-strategize of how we're going to play this series. Again, like you said, we haven't been to the World Series in quite some time, so there's a lot to think about here. But as always, this is a time in the comments to celebrate. There's no questions to be asked. Let's just celebrate in the comments, guys.